Good evening. It is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. I am Lady Wu. You know that because you're on all of my pages watching the work that we're doing, everything that we're putting out. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of hosting and having a conversation, interviewing, talking to, chatting with one of the mayoral candidates from the city of Fairfield in the state of Alabama. We're going to get to know him personally tonight, professionally, and possibly as the future mayor of Fairfield. So if you know anybody from Fairfield, tell them to go ahead and come on over, share the link, share the video. You can post your comments if you're watching on Facebook. If you know me or if you know him, you can text your comments and your questions. But stay tuned for a great interview. I'm going to go ahead and get our guest in for the evening. Welcome, Dr. Michael K. Williams.
Hello, so glad to be with the famous Lady Danny Wu. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. You are most welcome. So a couple of things for those of you who are watching. There is a delay between the two of us. Everybody is using their internet right now. So there are some glitches that are going on. So just bear with us if there are any of those delays, any feedback. I'll ask my questions and then I'll mute my mic so that he can hear the question and respond. Okay, so that's how we'll do tonight. And you all are more than welcome to put your comments and questions in the comment section. So let me get myself situated and we're going to get started. Be sure to share this video to everybody you know that lives in the zip code of 35064.
Yeah,
Okay. So, Dr. Williams, welcome to Vital.
thank you.
Absolutely. I know that we were looking at, or initially, you all were looking at doing a debate. We saw one of the worst debates in the world's history last night. So, I don't think a debate is necessary to get to know people. We'll just talk one on one.
Good.
Did you see it? Let's start there. I know you watched the debate. What do you think about it?
It was a tragedy, and unfortunately, I don't think anyone could find an appreciation in the slugfest that was really dominated and perpetrated by a person who has continued favored division, racism, and in line with those organizations of the past that have
Yeah,
been harmful to our race.
yeah. A slugfest is what you called it. So I know, like I like to be able to get to know people and hear what they stand for. And opportunities like this provide that. Watching last night as a journalist, as someone who's politically involved and likes to hear about people's platforms and what they believe in, I said, you know what? Tomorrow night, I'm going to make sure that everything I saw tonight does not happen without conversation about Dr. Williams and Fairfield. So, just for starters, I think a lot of people have roots in Ensley and in Fairfield and within these two communities. And we go abroad, we do things, we learn things, and we always end up coming back home in some way. So tell us a little bit about your Fairfield connection.
Well, I was born on the grounds of Lord Nolan Hospital and matriculated with the Black educational system, starting with First Baptist Church of Fairfield, going on to Robertson Elementary, then into Urban Heights Junior High School, and then Fairfield Industrial High School, and graduated from E.J. Oliver High School, and on to Miles College and Tuskegee, where I engaged in a dual degree in mathematics and engineering. Thereafter, I prepared myself for seminary to do the work that God had planned and called me to do. My fortunate opportunity was I was equipped and endowed with all of the academic skills and moral skills because coming under Dr. E.J. Oliver as our principal of Fairfield, he instilled in us morals. He also instilled in us the value of knowing our Black history, our Negro history. And so I felt good traveling around the country and the world engaged in a dual profession, that is senior pastor in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church and a community developer throughout communities of color. That benefit in and of itself allowed me to develop the skills and the expertise in learning how to create plans that can be reached and can have the outcome-based measurement anticipated, and then to leverage the kind of funding, diverse funding that you can get from public, private, and especially the philanthropic community and federal dollars. Over the
Mm-hmm.
last 20 years, I've leveraged over $15 million within communities of color. And so my public administration and my community development, God has just blessed me to say, go home. It's time to go home. And so a few
Yeah.
years ago, I came home with a passion and a mandate to assist in moving Fairfield into a stronger recovery and moving forward with a forward focus that can afford new generations to benefit what we had coming up.
Wow. A lot of experience. I wanted to say like a few minutes back, you are a smart guy because you think about anybody that has a degree in mathematics, like that's major in itself. So mathematics, ministry, and then mission. So bringing you back to Fairfield to serve. You said, look, I want to serve in the capacity of mayor of this city. So I think about I have family ties to Fairfield as well. And I remember being able to walk to the college campus and walk to Turner Store and walk to the mall. When I walked to Western Hills Mall with groups of friends, I remember the movies being in Midfield, which is right across the street. Now I ride through Fairfield and I'm just really blown away at what I see. I would say for anybody who lives there, you want a leader that can actually see what's happening and not just see it, but do something about it. So let's jump straight into what your plan is as to those basic things. Those are just basic things, what you see first.
Yes. Well, my passion is fueled by the fact that I've assessed and walking through the community, knocking on doors, the constant dilemma and discuss is that we continue to see the decline of Fairfield. We continue to see the loss of funding. We continue to see the loss of residents and businesses as well. And that is a leadership issue. That is an issue that need to be addressed. Now, let me preface what I'm saying in detail. There is nothing, I have no negative comments, interpretation of our incumbent. It is not about his personality. It is about the condition and the systemic failure of the city of Fairfield in all areas that we are experiencing now. So I have not engaged in personality conflicts, neither will I do that because it is not about uh, the incumbent or Micheal Williams. It's about Fairfield.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having leadership that's going to reposition Fairfield and unify the city so that we can all move forward. And that means that having experienced leadership who have engaged in all levels of organizational acquaintance and engaged in the philanthropic community and have leveraged money that we so desperately need. Now, when I talk about failed leadership, um, when you look at the bankruptcy, there
Mm-hmm.
could have been some alternatives that would have offset that had the leadership uh, that was in place really analytically assessed all of the options and presented a proposal that would do that. It didn't happen, so we continue to see the increase in debt and the decrease in income. Again, it's leadership responsibility to go beyond the city to make connections and collaboration with county, state, local, and federal and national investors to begin to solicit what Fairfield can become, and I believe it will, with the right leadership.
For
And so,
sure.
so it is a systemic failure. We're facing bankruptcy, and we're already in the bankruptcy. But the
Mm-hmm.
big question is that where are you going to get the money to comply with the structure that the bankruptcy is in? No one is talking about that. When you talk about the continual exodus of long-time businesses in
Mm-hmm.
Fairfield and losing tax revenue and business tax, What are you going to replace that with? When
Right.
you look at the loss of law enforcement, which is a big heartbreaker for any city to attract any type of revenue, any type of economic growth, and all those things. No one is coming to a city that the Alabama has tagged as the most dangerous city in Alabama. Now,
Mhm.
all of that is dealing with leadership weaknesses and consequences that I believe that we can do better and provide what the citizens want and the business as well. A
Yeah.
safe community with a more innovative and rebirthing of a law enforcement that accommodate the fundamental needs to protect and to prevent the type of dangers and unsafe
Hmm.
activities that we know we deserve.
I let you go because all that made all the sense in the world. I've never, for as much as cities are talking about defunding the police and we can do it ourselves. I know people personally in Fairfield who say, "No, we need some protection. We need another barrier of security." So that's major. And then you think about the institution that you have there. You have a major institution in your city that is like the HBCU in the state, and especially in the area. So it's a lot of things in the area that should be protected, along with the people, of course, but the businesses, the churches, the schools. It's so much that needs to happen. So when you say you came home to want to jump in and address these issues from a systemic standpoint, and from a leadership standpoint, you could have decided to be one of those people that was just a community organizer. You know what? We're going to get this organization together. We're going to try this. We're going to do this. But you said, no, I'm going to give it a run and I'm going to be the leader that we need. So when you talk about getting the funds, saving some businesses, saving some properties and things like that, I want to know about how you're going to make those relationships with the people who don't know you yet. I want to go all the way back to that first.
Good question. On August of 2019, last year, I began to facilitate citywide strategic planning sessions on a monthly basis. There were over 100 and plus citizens of Fairfield and businesses and church leaders who were convening once a month at Moody Temple CME Church. And during that time, I introduced the citizens of Fairfield an opportunity to participate in leveraging funding with community-based focus being the key. And the reason being is that we wanted to make sure that while there may be a slow recovery of city funds and their capacity to increase funding to subsidize a lot of public works and public health and community services, having a citywide nonprofit organization created would afford that group made up of neighborhood associations, pastors, and residents that would sit on the board and begin to address some issues such as the one that face the city now. We have an Olympic pool that's sitting up there dysfunctional, eroding, no activity at all. We have a gym
Yeah.
that's the same way. And those are funding sources that could be subsidized through a nonprofit organization that is in Fairfield. So, as an alternative, I've been engaged in that. We were meeting once a month up until the coronavirus set in, and then we suspended personal um, uh, presence in the meeting, and we started with uh, conference call, free conference call.
Okay.
The result of that is now I've completed the application for a 501c3 with a form 1023. I'm just waiting for the neighborhoods association to bring together representatives that will sit on the board of directors so that we can begin to leverage a lot of money that's flowing through Alabama now. It's through the COVID-19. We don't
Yeah.
have an organization that's positioned in order to apply for that. And a
Mm.
nonprofit organization could very well create community programs, improve the senior citizens activities, provide better health initiatives. We've got a civic center that's sitting there doing the same thing. The questions have been raised. No one gives a clear answer as to what's the forecast and is it usable.
Okay.
That's a leadership issue. That's someone who should be
For sure.
very in tune with the
Thank
value
you.
of these community programs and the community center, and yet they're sitting there lying dormant and decaying for lack of activity and funding. I believe that we could bring
Okay.
a different impulse into that type impact into that type of situation. Yeah.
I want to speak to all of the viewers who are on the live. I really appreciate you all watching and commenting as well. I see some who are right here in Fairfield. So shouts out to Jason Williams. Jason says, thanks, Woo. I really don't know him, but this is awesome. Sounds good so far. So you're getting those, it's about meeting people, bridging the gap, reaching a new generation of people who may not have been in Fairfield when you matriculated in the school system and really do want somebody that can represent them in a very educated and forward thinking way. So I'm really grateful to our viewers right now. We have another comment. And I want to get them in. They may not be in the order of our conversation, but I
Sure.
want to get them in while they're still watching. So one says, how will you keep church and state separate as a senior pastor?
Good question. The process really begins in honoring and recognizing how local government functions. It functions under a board, which is called our council, and a director. The council will make decisions on the directions and provide authority for the mayor, who is executive director, to function at that. And so the political process is something we all have to go through. And I've labored hard with our team to keep them in mind that we are not dealing with personality issues. We are dealing with issues that we have collected over the last 12 to 13 months, and then providing solutions, and then take those solutions and give leadership. Now, I know that many will say, well, we don't know you, and I understand that, but I also would tend to reference that very little is known about our incumbent as well, other than he have been an effective educator in the public education. But when you talk about municipality and public administration and being on top of federal codes and regulations and having the capability to reach out with funding sources and provide for them not only a solicitation, but also a guarantee that the money that you give us will be accountable and you can measure outcome-based measurement. So, and I've had almost 30 years of that in cities like Richmond, Virginia, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, South Los Angeles, the hood, and even Northern California in Richmond and San Francisco. So
what were you doing in those places? What were you doing? What were you doing in those places?
In Richmond, Virginia, I was a pastor and a community developer.
Okay.
In Richmond, Virginia, we transformed South Richmond, which is Blackwell, which was in the same status, at least worse than what Fairfield is. And we leveraged over $80 million through Hope 6 grant and other philanthropic and corporate investors to tear down 426 housing projects and then build low and moderate income in place of that, to give those persons who were in the housing an opportunity to become independent and moving in the direction that they want. The income at that time was $7,000. Now to date, they're averaging almost $40-some thousand with medium income, because we transformed not just myself, but a team and citizens working together. We did that. And that's
Let me
what
ask
it's
a
going to
question.
take it.
Thank you for sharing what you did. We got another awesome comment. And I just want to go back to what I said earlier, you guys, about the echo and about the internet. Sorry, don't know. Make sure you get this information though. I don't know what to say about the echo or the internet right now. We've been having issues with the internet in this area for, I know, the past week. So we're going to work on it best we can. But with COVID happening, everybody being online at home, same time, all the time, there are some issues that are sure to happen. And remember, I'm a West Side chick, and they don't treat us the same way they treat everybody else. But it's coming. We're going to work on that. The comment that's in right now, I want to go ahead and get to it. Are you really for the citizen? Past administration shows or has shown that they are only interested in their own agenda and not about the citizens, especially in the roughest areas of the city. So it's more of a statement, and the first part of it was the question, are you really for the citizens?
The answer to that is I have a passion. I'm so Fairfield. I grew up here. I knew how we were a true village. And we had stores on almost every corner to accommodate the families that needed special consumer products. It was in walking distance. I'm so Fairfield because number one, I had the opportunity to contemplate that either uh, go to Europe and live the rest of my life out after I've done so much work in this area across the country, or just stay in California. God told me to come home. And I came home on the passing of my younger brother. And when I looked around to look for fond memories of our growing up, I saw decay, I saw demise, I saw a lack of income, I saw all type of brokenness. I saw the inactivity of the streets that used to be saturated with young people and was safe in that. And so my passion is driven by, I've done this in many other cities, and God has blessed me to come home to do it in my own. Why? So future generations can enjoy the safety, the vibrant academic atmosphere, the true village experience of people knowing one another and working together and making this city become a premier city of attraction again. I'm home to do this, and I have been starting to do this even before running for this position. This position cries out for proven leadership. It cries out for someone who know how to get things done. Hey, listen, we've already elected a very awesome council. Those are new councils with a new mind and innovative mind. We need a leader who can complement the same desire that the citizens overwhelmingly voted for a change. And so I'm here, I'm committed, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm home and I'm here to stay because you can't do what's need to be done just popping in and popping out. You have to be where the people can feel you, can connect with you, and can work with you to turn the city around.
Love it. So I hope that answers your question, Ms. House. Are you really for the citizens? I can honestly say, just thinking about leadership and when people are running for office, how much time it takes, how much work it takes to be able to even get involved in politics and to spend that type of time. That's a lot of time to spend to not be for what you say you're going to be for. But we've seen it. We're seeing it. We're living it right now. So that's why we're having this conversation. So thank you for that question. Thinking about Fairfield and time, how much time is going to take to repair such a place? People that I know from Fairfield love Fairfield. Like they absolutely love it. And I just wonder, for people who love it so much, how did it get in such bad shape outside of leadership? But the business part of it, like when you think about business and different things that have been there that are no longer there, how did that happen? And what is your plan to get them back?
That's a great question. Uh, we've already started working on a transition team, and one of those teams will be focusing on business and economic development. The strategy of soliciting businesses to return back to Fairfield, but more importantly, those who have been here, they deserve to have the assurance and the input in how to turn the city around. And so we are already getting people on board. One person is being considered is Jeffrey Rouser. Um,
Okay.
he have a heart and a passion for the city. and we've talked on several occasions. And with that comes an opportunity to really assess those persons who are committed to help us to turn the city around. That's so important. And I think the most important thing is that somehow, and this is not the political side, this is the prayerful side. We've got to pray that our citizens be united and not continue to use conflict and drama and false accusations to dominate the time of our city and the attention of our city, when we need to be focusing on the trash, we need to be focusing on housing, we need to be focused on community development instead of trying to castrate someone's personality who you may not even know. I think that we're going to overcome that. That's a prayer that I'm asking God for, because it has driven us to this point. Even in this last 4 terms, that type of attitude and conflict have cost the city over $100,000 in court costs and legal fees during this past 4 years with the council and the current appointed mayor. We could have used that $100,000 to improve our public works. So that type of waste of resources can be avoided going forward with proven leadership that can manage and create problem solutions so that everyone begin to win and feel a part of a forward focused direction. You know, we've got a lot to do, but we have to do it together.
Thank you. I hear you mentioning about personality a lot. You know, that's big for me as a therapist and as somebody who, you know, if the personalities and situations ain't right with the people, I'm in a bad place. I don't know what to do in this place. So I totally respect and appreciate you for seeing that as something that's important when it comes to the progress of a city or of an organization. We don't have to like each other, not necessarily. It helps. We don't have to. But one thing that you mentioned is that you're bringing in somebody that was an opponent, somebody who ran for mayor to work with you. So that means that you're opening the door for people who have said that they care about the city and want to serve the city to serve with you. So I applaud that in a major way. Let's see. Going back to these comments and questions. So another thing about where we are, some of the comments are able to be seen on screen. Others are in another location. And one of them is asking about what part of Fairfield you grew up in and where you live currently. I guess some people have concerns about that because of past administration and past candidates who they ain't know where they live. Where you live?
I live at 712 60th Street. I grew up at 306 Apartment D on 55th Street, right up the street from my other mother, Flora Buford, and family. We relocated on 58th Street, and that's where I finished my middle school and my high school work in Fairfield. So, and now I'm currently legitimately located on 60th Street. And the reason being is that many of these yards we used to cut, many of these houses we used to throw papers, many of these streets we used to skate with all of the children of Fairfield during Christmas holidays. And so my passion is fueled by wanting to see not what we did back then per se, but wanting to see a true village experience where you felt safe, where you felt encouraged, where you had friends who would help you with academics, where you felt motivated to engage in sports or perform in art, where you felt good about being a Black person in a true village. And that's what's missing. Our families, our neighbors don't even know each other hardly, except to speak and keep going. And that says in itself that we need to do better about creating common programs and communities, banners that's going to help us to start becoming more acquainted with each other.
Thank you. I have a comment. This is a pretty lengthy one. I'm going to read it and take it down as well. I can certainly relate to Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams is saying about having access to what you need in Fairfield. I still patronize Mr. Sherman's shoe shop after I married and moved to Birmingham. I could have gone to the shoe shop where I live, but patronized his business until he closed. The same for Loveman's, Parisian, and other stores in Western Hills Mall. I chose to go to Fairfield, the city that I love. So like I said, when people talk about their city, where they're from, most people that really care about it go hard for it, no matter what condition it's in. So that allows me to see that people really do care about where they live. They really do want to see their city come back. I, as somebody who has grown up in both Inslee and Fairfield because of both sides of my family, I want to see it as well. When you think about who's capable of doing that and what are some of the characteristics that a leader needs, being educated is one. Being able to communicate with all people across the board is two. Being spiritual in some way, being grounded is three. And then four, being truthful and passionate about their purpose for even pursuing to serve. So I think you shared all of those different things. But I do want to get to this one about Miles College. Miles College is right there in the heart of Fairfield. Do you have any plans for partnerships and networking with the school?
Actually, I do. Dr. George French, the former president of Miles College,
Mm-hmm.
is actually my son in the ministry. When I was
Okay.
in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, I was his pastor
Hmm.
and also the pastor of Bishop Teresa Jefferson Snowden. They knew my work then in community development and economic development, a social leader
Mm-hmm.
as the president of the NACP, and sitting on many boards and commissions throughout the city and the state of Virginia. And so one of the things that Dr. French passed on to me in his last official act on August 15th was to become the executive director for Miles College Community Development Corporation. And
Hmm.
since that time, we have uh, refreshed the strategic plan for Miles College Community Development Corporation. Now, understand that Miles College Community Development Corporation is separate and distinct from Miles College. It was born through Miles College, and the awesome work that
Mm-hmm.
we see in dorms and the facilities came through the vehicle of the Community Development Corporation. Now, the next 5-year strategic plan includes reinvesting in the city of Fairfield by way of housing development, by way of economic development, by way of community educations that would allow a natural connection and bond to Miles College itself. We see
Okay.
that new thrust in being where students won't have to commute in, they can move in and gain an excellent academic education and create career goals and not have to move out of Fairfield because it will be much safer, it's more accommodating, and it's easy on and off getting back to Miles and supporting Miles even after graduation. I'm a Millennium and
That's
also a
great.
Tuskegean, but I'm home where Miles played an intricate role in who I have become over these years that I have been the person who I am.
Wonderful. Shouts out to Lady Jones. Lady is on here, and she's posted a couple of comments. Earlier, Lady said he's recommending the same thing Obama wanted for low-income housing. He's trying to make everyone middle class, which is awesome. I totally believe that. That's awesome, Lady. Thank you for your comments. Um, Make Fairfield great again is another comment. So I think everybody's on the same page when it comes to rebranding Black neighborhoods and Black communities and bringing business in, which leads me to one of my final questions. Maybe we may hang around a little bit longer and take some questions and comments. But the development, we've heard some things about grocery stores coming. We learned some things about Walmart leaving 2 times. Are you eyeing any businesses, or are you already involved in some of those ideas about who can come and where they should go?
Well, we have been talking indirectly with potential investors that want to come into Fairfield, and the legitimacy of that would be a greater incentive is they have the kind of leadership that I present, that I can provide. because these
Okay.
are some investors that have tried to knock on the doors of Fairfield, but have been unsuccessful. Listen, we have Fairfield is the birthing baby for U.S. Steel in the
Mm-hmm.
early 1900s. All of what we have benefited from have been because U.S. Steel was in walking distance of many of the black laborers who walked off the hill to go down and work and then bring those black dollars back to Fairfield and recycle them into Fairfield. I believe that
Mm-hmm.
CSX and US Steel would not allow this baby to die, especially when they are still standing ready to help Fairfield with a legitimate strategic plan, a plan that they can see how the city is moving forward, that they can forecast the next 15 to 20 years. I want to go and ask U.S. Steel, the first order of business, and say, hey, give us the Flint Ridge building and $3 million to tear it down for more innovative business and lifestyles up on that community. It takes
Mm-hmm.
forecasts. It takes an economic development that is solid in what you say you're going to do, and what you do, you're going to increase and solicit it more. They are standing by, but they cannot they cannot invest in a city when the local government continually be in conflict and drama in and of itself. We
Yeah.
have to show the community, we have to change the narrative that the city is open for business, and the elected officials are now moving in the right direction. And with new leadership as mayor and a new council, hey, we can do more sooner rather than later. Now, be patient. It's not going to happen tomorrow, because we have to
Yeah.
engage in a serious recovery of our finances. We have to engage into a serious effort to get our artists, financial artists, in place and get them up to date, because no one is going to consider giving you any money if you can't show how you have spent the money you've had. And
Right.
so
Okay.
those are administrative opportunities. I see the council now have skilled accountant, and with public administration. I see our new council comes with representation of law enforcement careers that now can assist in reinvesting, redeveloping a police force that's not only effective, but also collaborating with the sheriff department, Miles College, and the city of Fairfield. Hey, we
Mm-hmm.
can make the city safer and work together.
I'm loving what I'm hearing. I don't cast a ballot in Fairfield, but I do encourage those who do to pay close attention to what's being said tonight. Um, I have a very close partner that's on your city council and already looking to serve in a dynamic way. So when you have people who truly care about your city and about the work that can come and about the networks that they have that they can bring in, rock with them, hold them accountable, but support them and let them know that you're there to help because you want to see your city great. Um, the impact that cities have on each other. I'm right across the way in Birmingham, but I know that it's about relationship. I know that it's about support. So there was a conversation about annexing Fairfield with Birmingham. That's been a conversation since it went down. And I think people would say that it went down after Mayor Larry Langford. That's just being real. Yeah, no, I don't play in the game of don't say that. Don't say we're gonna say what it is. That's what a lot of people feel. And then he came to Birmingham. I don't know, Dr. Williams, if you're aware of what was going on during that time, considering that you weren't here in the city. But when it comes to the relationship with Birmingham, what is your opinion? And then what is your plan?
Well, actually, I've always been in touch, no matter what state or country I was in. I'm so grateful for the persons that were keeping me informed, who knew what I was doing was beneficial for where I am, and who know that I can do the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, Fairfield is a diamond in the rough. It is a city that have easy on it access to the highway. It have land and opportunity to revitalize. It is the most attractive city in Jefferson County right now, because when you go out 280 and you go down 20, where a lot of housing development is being taking place, is
Mhm.
simply because Fairfield have not positioned itself to become attractive. I don't agree with the annexation because Fairfield has always been self-sufficient. It was developed to be that way, and it's attractive to be a partner with the city of Birmingham rather than the annexation of Fairfield. I believe that there's an
Okay.
opportunity to work together. We're almost 15 minutes from UAB. We're 15 minutes from Amazon. We're the same distance from downtown Fairfield. Birmingham. We are the bedroom community that many of the people who are living in apartments and condominiums would love to have a piece of land with a wonderful plan to raise their children in a safe city called Fairfield. I believe that's the vision that I see, and we believe that it can happen. Again, I want to underscore that my plans does not condemn the personality of the incumbent. I believe he's a good
Yeah.
person. He has his limits, and those limits cannot be risked upon a decade that we can turn the city around simply because the hindsight excuse for not getting things done is simply because there may be a lack of knowing how to do that. And
All
so it
right.
is not a negative on the incumbent. It is a systemic failure that I believe that I can turn around and move us in a recovery and then a progressive growth development over the next 4 to 8 years.
I like it. No limit soldier. Got some more comments in. Looking forward to a new administration in Fairfield. We love Fairfield and we are looking forward to new leadership. We are standing with you and asking other citizens who want to see change in Fairfield to please vote for Micheal Williams on October 6th. There is another comment popping up, and I'll share it shortly. So allow me to come back and just let you all know because I see new people popping in and out. The internet has been janky, okay? There have been some things going on, especially considering COVID-19, where everybody's in and on their phones and on their laptop at the same time. This is a high traffic hour for social media. So if there's any feedback or anything like that, my apologies. But until y'all start paying this bill and making sure that everything is safe around here, deal with it. Thank you so much. All right. So as we talk more about 35064,
Yes.
where do you see you all in the next 5 years?
I see a council and a mayor working strongly together. I see a council and a mayor working together to leverage the type of resources that will correct the systemic failures. I see a council that will enjoy representing their districts with the success of unique plans and provisions for those unique districts. All of these districts have a unique character. Bellwood is different from uh, uh, Fair Oaks. Fair Oaks is
Mm-hmm.
different from Glen Oaks, even though it's connected. And Cambridge is different from interurban Heights. But you got to
Yeah.
understand, I live at the heart of the city of Fairfield. It is the
Mm-hmm.
nucleus. It is the one with the most pronounced deficit, dilapidation, and loss of funding. When you begin to start at the nucleus and spread out, then everybody is impacted by it. One, when you improve interurban heights, you are with housing development, you also stabilize the decrease in property values of homes in Cambridge, of Glen Oaks, and Bellwood and Fair Oaks. When you begin to create community programs at a
Mm-hmm.
central site, then Glen Oaks, Fair Oaks, Cambridge, Bellwood, Fairfield can all convene and get to know one another even more.
Yeah.
Our children need to get to know one another. So the Centrex of bringing Fairfield together is how we now create the type of community affiliation that you can bring your unique district character into the Centrex where all of us can feel like we belong.
Mm, very
That's a
good.
key factor there. And I believe that once the plans, I've had my plans, documented plans of strategic strategies for the city up there since the first of the year. I've been ridiculed because they said don't get messed up with words and stuff. But I have presented a documented plan that
Mm-hmm.
includes all of those Fairfieldians and businesses who convene monthly to talk about the problems and present solutions. And so we already are involving an inclusive effort to see what the strategic plan that I'm proposing is really from those who have attended those monthly sessions with me. So,
Okay.
hey, I'm ready to lead with what we have been provided. And I believe at least those citizens who have come are ready to participate in turning the city around.
Awesome. I think about, I keep, for some reason, my mind keeps going back to the presidential debates last night and what I would have been doing if I was moderating. And I don't have to do that tonight. But my mind keeps going. My mind keeps going there because I'm hearing substance. I'm hearing something that I feel that people can really put a pin in and say, okay, I was looking to hear that. I was waiting on that. I was looking for that. They're getting something from me. And maybe my mind is going there because I got nothing from yesterday. So anyway, before we go, we have about 15 more minutes scheduled. And I want to give this time to those of you who are viewing. If you have any questions, any comments that you would like to submit, now is the time. Any ideas, anything you would like to see, any complaints, any concerns. I'm going to open the floor up for that now via social media. We are streaming live on YouTube at Vital Show. We are on Facebook on a couple of pages. So you can put your comments on any of those and I will get them to our guests. We are viewing and listening to mayoral candidate for the city of Fairfield, who is in a runoff, Dr. Micheal K. Williams. And pronouncing your name. So it's spelled Micheal. How do you pronounce it?
It's Micheal. And by the way,
EAL.
EAL, that's on my birth certificate that I received from Lord Nolan Hospital when they released me from the hospital as a newborn. It's
Lord
Mike Hill.
Nolan.
Yeah. Now,
Micheal.
for the first 18, 19 years, everybody in Fairfield was calling me Michael, because there were two of us, Michael Williams, that grew
Mm-hmm.
up. And Michael, who's now in Boston, his name was also spelled Micheal. So
Hmm.
the records were so they wouldn't conflict with us. Uh, Mine was spelled AEL all the way up through high school until I went to the Army. And when they printed my name on my duffel bag, they said, I told him, that's not how you spell my name. And he said, that's what's on your birth certificate. So our parents uh, distinguished us by Michael, who was a year older than me, being spelled Micheal, because both of our names spelled the same. And to minimize any
Yeah.
confusion about identity, that's what's happened. But I've been this way all of my life, and I'm glad to be a Mike Hill. It's Mike Hill,
Okay.
compound. Mike
Different.
Hill.
I appreciate that. I can appreciate. Look, I love different, and I appreciate explanation. So a lot of times we don't know why people say what they say, how they say it. Why? That's why. Now you got the full story. It was two of
Yes.
them. Here's a question: why are the city taxes so high? I don't know that that's a you question or if that's a past question, but let's talk about taxes in the city.
Taxes are high when I was working in the city of Richmond on their tax revenue commission, I got a lot of experience with that. The taxes are high currently because of a lack of business tax, with business being in Fairfield. Hey, once we start soliciting for new businesses and they start coming in, then they will participate in the tax revenue that's needed to run the city. So once there's an increase in business tax revenue, then the the property tax will either be maintained or reduced based upon the growth, the economic growth of Fairfield. Now, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take a little time. And with your property tax, that's how we really begin to provide improved public works services. That's how we start bringing back some services that are at a minimum now by attracting not only businesses, but providing housing, new housing to attract new residents.
Okay.
So I empathize with the property tax owners at this point. I'm just encourage you to hang in there because your change has arrived. With your
Mm-hmm.
vote on Tuesday, your change has arrived. I understand why they are as they are, but rest assured, one of the first things in the first 12 to 18 months is beginning to initiate a housing development and economic development that will attract new businesses and new homes, and at the same time provide the public create the public law enforcement again to imply that, hey, now that we have an effective law enforcement, we are no longer going to be the most dangerous city in Alabama. We're that now because we don't have a law enforcement. It is not that we're that bad. It's just that that's how they have tagged Fairfield in the state of Alabama. We're going to change that. And with
All
your
right.
help, it will be done.
And the way that you can help is voting in this runoff election October 6th, Tuesday, October 6th, which is right around the corner. I know because October is like this legendary month where a lot of great things happen, like my birthday. But that's when the runoff is, October 6th. So if you're in Fairfield, be sure to make your mind up. There should be no undecided voters after watching this interview. More questions, more thoughts, more comments, more feelings. If you want to share them, do it now. You got a few minutes. Shouts out to Roderick Lowe, Lorraine Slater. I see one of your counselors on, Herman Carnes. Who else is on here? What's up, Lee Dale and Asia Marie? So I do see some people who are on. If you all have questions or comments, please go ahead and send them in. All right. So thank you. My father's on. My mother's on as well, wishing me a happy early birthday. Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Happy to be doing what I do. So thinking about Fairfield and the dynamics, the makeup of the city. Somebody said he did not shout out my hood, Montesano. Where's Montesano?
Well, let me add on to Montesano, Inglewood, and Annisburg because they seriously feel neglected in any factors of improvement in the city of Fairfield. I walked those streets twice, and I used to go down there on date night and get ran out of Inglewood dating some of their residents. But rest assured, Annisburg and Inglewood and Monsanto, you're on the radar with me.
Okay.
And rest assured that you are included. And I believe that you have a very efficient council representative that's ready to do the same thing. So I'm excited about getting ready to work with the new council with the type of systems and policies and procedures that will minimize character conflicts and attitudes and work it according to the codes and regulations and the plan that we will all agree upon and work to do.
Oh, good. So I just got a comment. If you have comments, please post them on the live. Okay, send them to the comment section. So I see supporters coming through and people just kind of letting me know the map. You know, I know about Vinesville. The new people say Vinesville. I know about that. The other one, Ernestburg,
Yes.
never knew.
That's next door. That's connected to Inglewood. They've cut the interstate through it,
Okay,
but
I know where that is.
yes, you have to ask Sandra Lewis and some of the Crawfords and the Scotts who grew up in that area, but I know them just as well, and I felt good walking through and seeking memories, but it has changed, and a lot of neglect has occurred there. And we have a growing Hispanic population down in that
Mm.
area as well.
Okay. So looking at the growth of the city and what's happening there. Okay, so Miss Kalila said that her great grandmother was from Ansburg. All right, teach me something. Nakia said behind the high school.
Yes.
So speaking about the high school, that's where I'm going to wrap us up talking about education and the relationship to the Fairfield school system from a mayoral standpoint. You've had the opportunity to go grow and be educated. How important is education to the growth of the city of Fairfield?
Well, I think from top to bottom, we have a great opportunity. Miles College has proven to be one of the awesome historical Black college and ranked within the top 10 across the country. They are now discussing and planning to be connected to not only the high school, but the elementary and the middle school.
Very
With
good.
that, they are looking to provide daycare for those single parents who want to complete their education and have a facility right in walking distance from Miles College. So, community education will not only include academics, but it also include opportunities to learn how to improve the overall community from different perspectives, from health, from wealth, from employment, from all of those things. And it's about connecting in such a way. And I think the dynamic president, Dr. Bobby Knight, is on the cutting edge to make that happen. That's why I'm looking forward to exercising Miles College Community Development Corporation to provide the housing, moderate income homes that students and working parents can live in and be able to walk to Miles College to continue to improve their academic careers for the future. So I see a real opportunity taking place with a healthy environment. I see collaboration taking place with the law enforcement of the sheriff department, the city of Fairfield, and Miles College. I see the fire department being able to work with the college as well, and the college work with the city. This is an awesome opportunity that can be one that turn Fairfield into a direction and people will want to come and live again. In fact, some of the people who have left Fairfield
Mm-hmm.
we want to come on back and we're saying, hey, come on home because it's time to be Fairfield together.
That's what's up. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing from you and learning about what's happening in Fairfield, what's projected to happen in the city. You all, I'm going to give Dr. Williams the last moments of our show, of our interview tonight. But before I bring him back, I want to remind you all to check me out every day except Saturday on B94.9 WATV for Lady Wu's Midday Groove. And then every Sunday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the Abby Award winning Vital Show, where we address everything like this every week. So there's so much information, so many interviews. This week we'll be talking about COVID-19. My goodness gracious. I will talk about that in full. We'll learn from the doctors at UAB. But for tonight has been specifically for the citizens of Fairfield and for the mayoral candidate, Dr. Micheal K. Williams. So I'm going to bring him back up. He's going to give you guys closing words. Be sure to follow me on all social media streams, get his social media, and stay so Fairfield if that's what you are. And if you aren't, you should be that after tonight. Dr. Williams, you have the screen.
Happy birthday to Lady Danny Wu early. Fairfield, you went to the polls on August the 25th, and you overwhelmingly said by 56% you wanted new leadership. Now we can have that. We have a new council, anticipated awesome council, and now we need the mayor to be on the same page and provide the type of proven leadership that Fairfield deserves to do so. I'm asking you to vote not based on personalities or association or conflict or a relationship. I'm asking you to vote for a forward focused movement of Fairfield that will bring recovery as well as projected growth. Let's be so Fairfield and giving Fairfield what it needs: new leadership, one who is so Fairfield in the past, one who's Fairfield now, and one who's going to be so Fairfield in forever. God bless you tonight, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Lady Wu and WATV, bless you, and we look forward to bringing good news and changing the narrative of Fairfield on the other side of the election.